You know that nagging thought that creeps into your head throughout the day? The one that has you questioning your partner's loyalty. For a while, you tell yourself that you are just being paranoid or maybe feeling a little insecure. You decide to do a little digging to put your mind at ease, but you find nothing. At first, there is a sense of relief, but that quickly dissipates because you know that things still are not adding up. So many individuals in relationships have gone through that exact scenario time and time again. That is why Amber and I are so excited to introduce you all to our friend Madeline. The TikTok sensation who goes by MadelinetheREAL has over 206,000 followers and 4.5 million likes. So, what makes her draw in so many followers, you might wonder? Well, first off, have you ever heard of the loyalty test? Let's just say that this test is everything, and Madeline has become the go-to woman to deliver this test to the person creating doubts in your mind. It is also fair to say that Madeline has a way with men. Her good looks, flirty banter, and strategic responses to the men that you have asked her to vet quickly gets you the answer that you have been struggling to find. Is he cheating? Will he flirt back? Will he take the bait with ease? The answers and all of the evidence is then privately given by Madeline to you. And from there, the choice of what to do next is the choice of that individual.
Welcome to Ex-Wives Undercover.
Liars, cheaters, and love cons.
I'm Amber.
And I'm Athena.
First we told our story, and now we're sharing all of your craziest and most heart-wrenching stories of love gone wrong. Sometimes we laugh,
And sometimes we cry.
but more importantly,
We stand together.
All right, girl. You ready to do this?
let's do it.
The views, information, or opinions expressed on our show by our guests are solely the views of those individuals involved and by no means represent absolute facts. Opinions expressed by the host and guests may change at any time. Our podcast and YouTube show may at times cover sensitive topics, including but not limited to suicide, abuse, violence. Listener and viewer discretion is advised. So, how did Madeline decide to start providing services like these? Madeline, like so many others, had witnessed and endured abusive behavior as a young child growing up. The pain she experienced would then start her on a journey of self-discovery. Years later, she would become a single mother of two, struggling to keep afloat and provide the basic essentials for herself and her children. In an inspiring turn of events, Madeline would form a bond with a small group of mothers who saw her struggles and stepped in to help her. There was a part of Madeline's mission statement that really hit home with me. She writes, "It wasn't my spouse, my mom, or my friends that were there for me at that time. It was a group of women who knew what it was like to feel scared, to feel alone, and to need a village. You all are my village, and you have all been a village to so many others." Okay, so now with the sappy stuff out of the way, let me just say that Madeline is one of the funniest people I have ever met. Her TikTok videos have me laughing so obnoxiously that even my young kiddos give me the side eye. So without further ado, let's start our interview with Madeline.
Well, thank you for having me. I have been following your page for a while, so I was excited when we got in contact.
Yay.
Well, I'm Madeline, or known as on TikTok as MadelinetheREAL. And it's a very interesting conversation because one of the moms at my kid's school the other day was like, "So what do you do for a living?" I'm like, "I catch cheaters." She's like, I'm like, "No, I'm serious." Like, it's definitely an interesting job description, but you know, someone has to do it.
I get
So
it.
I live in Los Angeles, and we just kind of happened upon this line of work. I have had things in the past where like I've helped out friends in custody issues and like even celebrity cases with getting certain court document or submitting documents and things like that. I've testified and so everything kind of just made its way to TikTok because Danny is a really smart person. He's a music producer. So when it came to like TikToks. He's like, I know what to do. I'm like, okay. So then he just was like, hey, just do this. And I'm like, no one's going to care. No one's going to care. He's like, yes, they will. And then here we are. So.
Oh, yeah. It's funny how all these little things lead us to where we land. But I feel you on when I email my children's school and I accidentally don't change it to my personal one, it'll say Athena at ex-wife's undercover. And they're like,
like
ex-wife's undercover. Like
that's me.
Do we ask?
Some shit up,
Yeah. So it gets interesting.
I'm curious, are you from LA? Are you doing the whole LA? Were you doing it, I guess? Like the acting, the modeling, all the ings, directing, producing, singing. Were you doing all the things?
Dancing?
No. So I mean, yes and no, I guess. But I've been here for like 13 years, which is longer than I've lived anywhere. I grew up as a kid in Kansas. And then as a teenager, I lived in Utah, which was truly horrific. And and then I came here for dancing, and then I ended up opening a couple dance studios, and I don't have anything to do with that anymore. And, did some modeling, which has been really helpful because I've done it worldwide. And so it makes it easier to have an in with these guys because they're like my top 3 clients, like where they're located is US, Canada, and Australia. And so it's been actually really helpful with like the Australian or, different, or even, clients in the UK, just because I've traveled so much that it's like, it's plausible that I would be there, So yeah, that's a long-winded answer, but there you go.
Because I stalked you appropriately before this interview.
Yes, as you should.
You're right. That's your TikTok. Well, I should say this. We were also following you. We had a little mutual follow. So I've been enjoying your videos. Both of us have. So
funny. I die.
They're so
Thank
funny.
you.
I know.
So good.
I'm like, I want to do this. This is so fun. Like, just let off a little steam and tell them what's up.
No, when Amber told me you were coming on, I was like, oh, have you already outlined what we're going to do? I was like, do you think she'll let us come along on a ride with her while she messages and we can like help her with responses?
Oh my God.
And
that would be so fun. Time. We should do that
right?
sometime.
Oh my gosh.
We should tag team.
Okay. That'd be so hilarious.
Okay. So after I stalked your page, it looks like you started in 2020 when all the rest of us did, but then I noticed it looked like it was maybe a funny couples channel, maybe. It shifted to the loyalty test videos. So I'm wondering if you could explain how that happened.
And I told a story, and it was my first like viral video. I think it went to like 200 and something thousand. I don't know what it's at now. Probably the same. But it was a story about having sex with my ex. And at his office, like after hours. So there's people there all the time. So there was like 3 floors. He was on the top floor. And we were having sex in his office at night. And then there's a bathroom like right outside that was like his bathroom. I think he shared it with the woman that was like the VP, like underneath him. And so it's like no one was there. And so I run naked into the bathroom. And then a janitor walks in on me, and I'm just like, I don't give a fuck, like I just didn't. And so he walks in, and I'm just on the toilet, like peeing, buck naked. I know, but I hate saying buck naked. Anyway, and he's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. So then I go back in, I get dressed. We leave, and the guy is in the next room, like a kind of a conference room vacuuming. And I look at him and I go, and I'm like, good night, like just to fuck with him because he was like so mortified. And I'm just like, I don't care. And so that's what went viral. And I went from like 20 followers to like 5,000 or something. And people were like, this is such a fake story. I'm like, it's not, but cool. And so then when Danny was like, you should post on your page, like kind of like I've seen what you've done for friends. And of course I didn't call it a loyalty test. Like I just, helping my girls out. But he's like, this is what people are calling it. And I'm like, okay, sure. So then we put it out on that page because it already had a following and it already had like been established for a couple years. And then that's why the sudden shift. Sex stories to infidelity sex stories.
Sex sells.
Yeah,
we know.
right?
Yeah.
I know.
We're all
God,
here for it.
Love it. Love it.
I know.
Did it start off like word of mouth or initially? Because you said you had kind of done this for your friends. And then when it blows up, is it all through TikTok or does it start there and spiral? Now everybody's contacting you.
So it just started out with like, I guess, word of mouth, just like within friend groups. Prior to the loyalty test, Danny and I started a couples page, and that one went to 100,000 followers really fast. So then Danny was like, he's very creative and was like, hey, I saw this, a couple girls that were on TikTok doing like a loyalty test. I'm like, well, that's not really what I did, but essentially like looking out for girls, like finding shit out. And then he's like, we got to put it out on social media, kind of in that like similar platform with the term loyalty test. And I was just like, no one's going to care, but whatever, you know, I'm on board. So
let's talk about the process of when they reach out to you. Is there an email that you have posted or is it all just DMs or direct messages, however it is through TikTok? How does that work?
So once I started getting like 500 people messaging me a day,
Wow.
or actually before that, I was like, I can't keep track of all this. Like so now I have like an official like database and I keep everything securely in there. And what happens is someone can email me. I have that available. You can DM me, preferably on Instagram. Or they can just go directly to a submission form, and the submission form puts them through the process of just like the information that I need to know. And then I have a terms and conditions page that they, and like an FAQ. So I have all of that laid out for them. I have all of it in the same place. They can go back and reference it. They have a link and then they can agree, and then they go and they submit it. And then they submit that with their purchase. And the purchase is like, it depends on what kind of a test you want, because like text and Snapchat is way more work than Facebook and Instagram. And I've been able to like mitigate this now, but there's a time when I wouldn't even have been close to starting the girl's test for 14 days after she paid, because it was just way too crazy. And so now it's like I have like a guarantee of like a time frame, and if you want like faster service, then you can pay for priority and things like that. So
wow,
that's
you got a
essentially
system. I love that.
I have to.
You have
it's
to.
like
yeah. It's
so
a full-time job for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, other than the priorities, like, do you sift or pick or choose? You got an algorithm? Is your fiance helping you choose what goes next, or how does that work? Do you just go in order? First come, first serve?
Essentially, yeah, unless they pay for like a priority thing. But also like if there's a girl and she's like really cool and we've been talking for a while, and then she pays, but like I know she, you know, can't pay for priority or whatever. Like I'll do my best to like take care of the people that are cool, you know?
Yes.
So, I mean, most people are really cool, but I definitely get like some really entitled people. And in that case, I'm like, you can wait the full 7 days.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's go back just a little bit to how you even got to the point where you're like, I got to sift through 500 plus. So it sounds like the first loyalty test video was August of 2022. And that had
August
25,000
31st.
views. And then September, just a month later, you did a video on an NBA player and it hit 125,000 views. And then all of a sudden the media picked up on it. Can you walk us through what the video was about? You don't have to say who, obviously for legal purposes, but, and then what was it like being bombarded by media and then all of a sudden shit blowing up?
Yeah. I mean, and just as a side note to anyone listening, even if I could legally tell you, I wouldn't, you know, just because it's like my first priority is always confidentiality and safety.
Good.
For them and for myself, you know?
Absolutely.
I've turned down so many loyalty tests where I've been like, I don't feel safe, or like, I don't feel safe and I don't feel you're safe.
So, anyone curious to hear this video? I am. If you are watching this on the YouTube channel, you'll be able to listen and view the actual video footage.
Holy basketballs, you guys. I have a crazy one. So this girl DM'd me and said, hey girl, I saw your videos on TikTok and I wanted to know if you can message my man. This one might be interesting for you because he's a high profile professional athlete and you are perfect. He's in the NBA and plays for the season is starting in a few weeks and I wanted to know if he would agree to meet up with you when they're in LA. And I said, of course, girl, I got you. So I hit him up and I said, hi, so I'm not sure if you're actually going to see this, but I've had the biggest crush on you for almost 2 years. Ever since you played for and then surprisingly, he actually did hit me back and he said, oh, you a fan? Where are you from? And I said, oh, wow, didn't think you'd respond. Yes, I'm in LA. And then right away he says, text me and gives me his number. So I texted him and I said, hey, it's Madeline from IG. And he said, hey, and was suspicious. So he said, send a selfie holding up 2 fingers. And I did. And he said, girl, you fine. We're in LA on the come chill after the game. And I said, oh my God, I would love to. Where should I meet you? And then he said, after party at we're going to have some fun. And so I said, oh yeah, sounds hot. What kind of fun? And he didn't respond for a while. So then I followed up with, wait, don't you have a girl? Then he says, you know, things different when I'm on the road. Be chill. Hit me up after the game. So of course I sent her the screenshot. She saw how easy that was and that wasn't okay with her. So I was done. I blocked him and he's fucked.
Yeah, that was crazy. And then I got banned shortly after because what happens is if you don't have a big following and then you have a video go massively viral, and even though that wasn't like massively viral, it was for my page. And so then like the amount of people who report it, you know, like butthurt dudes, outweighs like what a page of that small following should have. So then they just automatically ban it. So there was like a discrepancy according to them and however they do things. And so we got taken down after that. And then what was great is that even though I think that was only like 6 weeks into us posting about loyalty tests, I had already built a really good rapport and relationship with so many women that I went to every single girl that I could and was like, please help me appeal this. And so they did. And here we are. But the media shit was crazy. Like all of a sudden, like we're on Yahoo Finance and Yahoo Sports, and the Sun from England called us for a magazine interview. And then like it was wild. We were like, holy shit.
Obviously, when shit hits the fan, did it get back to the dude and did he come for you? Or like the NBA player, did he shit his pants like, oh no, I think she's talking about me? Or did anyone reach out to you? Or even anyone really for that matter, any of the dudes that you kind of, even though they're not being named, but I don't know. I'm just curious.
She had to call him out at some point.
I did. Yeah. And I didn't, I think because there's so many cheaters in the NBA that they, but the thing is guys aren't watching my content.
Mm-hmm.
Like my following is at the very least 89% female, and it's usually around like 93% female. And then the videos themselves are usually around 94% women who are watching it. Like guys who are cheating aren't looking up shit about cheaters, you know? So when people are like, have they seen your face? I'm like, no.
They're too busy cheating.
What about, like, what if the girl's like, what if she outs you? It's like, look, you've been texting Madeline and this is what you said. Like,
but you still use a fake name though, don't you, Madeline?
I don't know. Like, how does that?
No, not always. Sometimes I use like a variation of my name, but like I have like 7 last names out there. Like if you look up my publications, it's like Madeline Smith, and my sister and brother will see it and they're like, oh, Madeline Smith. I'm like, yes, it's me. Because obviously that's not my name. But
yeah,
it's one of those things where like guys don't see my shit unless their girlfriend or wife shows them. And weird story that I have not told anyone, and so maybe you guys will think it's interesting. We were getting a U-Haul for like the 30th time in 2 weeks. God damn it, it's fucking horrible. Anyway, so the guy in the U-Haul and or the U-Haul place and Danny were we're talking. And then he's like, well, you know, and Danny and myself have always been entrepreneurs. So he was like, you know, like, how do you open a U-Haul? And they're talking about it. And the guy was like, well, what do you do? He's like, oh, we're on social media. Here's our page. And then he's like, I know who your girlfriend is. It's like, or I know who your friend is. He's like, my girlfriend sends me her videos all the time. And so it was funny because then he called me. He's like, babe, you got to come in here. I'm like, okay. And then I go in and he's like, oh yeah, my girlfriend sends me your video. And I'm like, why? What did you do? And they like, you know, and they laugh and they're like, oh, and he's like, and then Danny's like, come on, he doesn't seem like a cheater. I'm like, I'm going to find out. You know what I mean? Like, so.
Yeah, she's warning him, like,
I'm like,
beware.
Sending it to you for a reason. But anyway, so that was kind of weird to have a guy at a U-Haul recognize me. You know what I mean? I'm like,
yes.
I mean, he didn't recognize me like going in there, but like, because
Well,
I have
I'm
my
just
hair
curious too because of the algorithm.
Mm-hmm.
I would think that TikTok would push out your videos to men because you're a really attractive woman. You know what I mean?
Well,
Like, you would think that they'd be like, even if they don't care what you're saying, they want to look at you because, you know, you're just beautiful.
I mean,
so like, I think that you would kind of come up more.
Mm-hmm.
I think that there is an element of that that's true. And so like, I will find that I have sometimes more of the male the male percentages in the videos if I have like more of a low cut shirt on. But
so predictable.
They're like sitting on the toilet watching your videos. Yeah. I can see it now.
Yeah.
Sad but true. Tell us about any of your maybe most favorite or standout videos or stories or loyalty tests you've done to date.
Oh, those are all very different things. So my favorite, okay, so I have to tell you that I hate watching my videos and I hate watching myself. And Danny does all the editing and he's the reason that it's how it is because like I suck at editing. But also he just has like, he can take my unhinged moments and like fit them in like my heartfelt moments and like fit them in a good way. Whereas I'm just either kind of like, yeah, blah, 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 or I'm just like, fuck this shit, you know? So he helps like level it out. But one of my favorite videos is actually a video that we did. It was a paid sponsored video. It's for Balesa. And I watched that like 4 times and like I was laughing and I never laugh at like my own videos. I have to find which I think I'm wearing my like lavender I got you girl shirt, but that one like it makes me laugh. As far as like my favorite, I think
there's so many.
Yeah, for real, there really are. I think that like I have favorites in different ways. Okay. If like the guy fails really bad and I know that the girl is like not in a good place, or it's like they have like 5 kids and she's like really trying and things like that. Like, I'm not like, yeah, that's my favorite. But when it comes to like a woman that's like, I'm already about to leave, like, I know I'm done with this, like, get whatever you can. And they're kind of like, they're not in as much of a vulnerable place. And then I can just like nail the fucking dude. And I'm just like, I got this and this. And she's like, yeah, fuck him. Like, you know what I mean? Like, those are more
so
my
fulfilling.
favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because
totally
I know that they feel fulfilled too. And I don't feel like I'm delivering bad news as much. And I don't feel like I'm breaking her heart as much because she's just in a different place.
I never thought about that aspect of it. That must take a little bit of a toll on you, like just having to deliver that kind of thing to people so often. It's rewarding, it's fulfilling, and you're a bearer of bad news, but that bad news is going to lead them to a much happier life.
Yeah.
And it's news they probably already really knew. Yeah. But still not the easiest.
No, and it's gotten easier in a way because I don't internalize it so much. And like, I feel like I know what to say to them and like how to direct them better than I did before. Obviously, like, you know, with experience comes wisdom and all that. But there is definitely some that like really still pull at my heartstrings.
Yeah.
especially if like I develop a good relationship with the girl and I just adore her, and then like I don't want to give her this bad news, but I have to, like that's what I'm here for.
Totally.
And I think it makes it harder when they're like really hopeful and they've like gone through a lot. Like it just baffles me that most guys have like zero respect for any kind of like hardships that they go through as a couple, and then they're just like willing to. I had a guy the other day that like sent his few dick pics.
You've seen so many dicks, I bet.
Dude, I let Danny open the dick pics. Oh,
yeah.
Good. I have. There's on my Instagram. On my Instagram page, we did a podcast in Miami, and she asked about the dick pics, and like the clip is like, Danny has seen a lot of dicks this year, and then it goes to Dan. He's like, yeah, I've seen a lot of dicks. There's a part of it that's really gross, obviously, but then there's a part that's like, yeah, we got the dick, and then I'm like, what am I saying? Like,
yeah, we got the dick.
Or yeah, exactly. I'm like,
nailed him.
Yeah, or like sometimes our conversations between Danny and I are so, we like stop and look at each other and then we laugh. Like, so where we live now it's just one level, but where we lived before it was 2 levels. And I remember like leaning over the staircase and being like, hey babe, are you ready to film? Because we have like a little setup and the lights were on. I was ready to go. And he's like, yeah, I'm just blurring out a couple dick pics real quick. And I'm like, okay, cool. And I was like,
it's an average day at work.
yeah. And
like,
then we had a guy
recording porn up there.
Yeah. And then we had a guy like a week ago that was like really gross, like really like in the way that he was speaking to me, which is what I wanted. And then I was like, I'm sorry, you have to take over now because I'm gonna like I can't like there's a point where I can't do it anymore because they're like, about I can't say like, stroke it a little for me. Like I just can't physically do it. But like once it starts getting to that point, I'm just like,
wait, so your fiance takes over? So this dude has no
good
idea
man.
So he's talking to a dude this whole time. Oh my God.
Yes. And I tell girls that too. Like a lot of them are really mortified. Like I'm so sorry. And I'm like, hey girl, if it makes you feel better, he was sending his dick pics to my fiance. And then and it's like a good comic relief too for them. Cause they're like,
paybacks in a way too.
And it makes them feel better too, because it's like, they don't even know that like some dude was opening it being like, yeah, I want to touch it, cause it's not me saying that. Like I could get it to a certain point and then I'm like, can't do it. Because after that, I know that I'm like not able to do it anymore when I'm like, oh, what thread cotton are your sheets? I'm like, okay, that's not, because I'm like finding anything to talk about other than like their sexy pictures. And so I'm like, okay, this is time for me to just hand it over to Danny. But anyway.
I love it.
Yeah.
I think that might be one of the best like fun facts we just discovered. I can't wait to share that.
Oh yeah. Well, and
love it.
So I was saying really quick, and I'll be brief, but it was so funny because the other day I got to that, I was like able to get his dick hard, and then, Danny can get him off all the way. Gross. Okay. So anyway, so then I was like, it's your turn. He's like, you got to send him a picture back. I'm like what? And he's like, just like, and then he like pulled down my pants a little bit. He's like, just like that, just like stick your hand like right there. And I'm like, he's like, no, like that. I'm like, okay. And then we looked at each other like, what the fuck?
Oh my God.
So, but I mean, team effort,
Oh my God, go team.
Yeah.
He's a secure man. I mean, obviously both of you are. I love this.
Okay, so I actually saw this video, but some of our podcasters, since they're just being introduced to you, they're going to want to know the $1 million question. How many fails
guys
on average? Yeah. Yep.
So I really try to take the average because some days and some weeks it's like 100% fail. So I always give the average as like 80% fail. But I honestly think that it's a little bit more.
I know. Is there certain professions? Well, obviously the sports people we all know are dirty dogs, but is there like policemen, firefighters, the ones? Are they worse offenders?
Oh yeah. Athletes, musicians,
Anybody traveling a lot?
bodybuilders. Yeah. Travelers.
Pilots.
Pilots. But
They're
also
the
a
worst.
lot of these guys, like women hardly reach out when they're like, everything's been great. But like, I'm curious, and I'm like, they don't reach out if everything's great, but also there are like different things going on in their lives. Like I've had women that have reached out like postpartum and been like, this is everything that's going on. And I've told them like, hey, I've been there. You're sleep deprived. You're hormonal. I really don't think your husband's doing anything, So like, I will tell them if I'm like, I think you're fine, or I'll tell them like, you have the information you need. Like, you don't need me, So, I mean, but sometimes they're like, no, I really still do, because I get it. Sometimes it's like not about getting new evidence. It's about like having something concrete that they can't talk their way out of because there's a third party, me, involved, where I'm like, no, this is what he said. This is how he said it. And it's right here. There's no messages deleted. All of it's right in front of you. And I'm going to be on your side rooting for you. Not just like a girl that hit you up and like, here are the screenshots. And you're like, well, like, who is this girl? Is she trying to fuck with me? You know what I mean? Like, I'm like the advocate. Yeah. So I think a lot of girls actually go forward with the loyalty test just purely to have an advocate, not because it's new information.
Yeah. And you know what? That's such a good point, because they can't talk themselves out of it and giving them a second chance because of the what if. What if this girl just wants my man and made up extra stuff? What if this? What if that? Like, you are a paid professional. You know what you're doing. You're on their side. They sought you out. So that's so true. And it's sad because I was one of those girls that needed concrete evidence. I mean,
me too.
At one point I'm like, do I just need to walk in and see him putting his penis in somebody? Like, it was that bad. But I mean, I think it was even just I had the pocket dial from Las Vegas. So I got to hear him for like a couple hours, on the phone with some other woman. Wow. And it's like, I shouldn't have taken that though. But sometimes that's a lot of the times that's what we need. And so when we need that, we need you, Madeline. So there's that. Yeah. We're keeping you employed forever. Okay.
Yeah.
People are in fucked up relationships every day.
I know, right? But it must be nice for you to give the rare good news that someone passed. Like,
sounds very rare.
Probably far and few between, but it has to be like, oh damn, we didn't 7% pick. Like, we got down, and then it's like, really, man, am I losing my time?
Well, and a lot of times, like, guys will pass, but I don't consider it a pass, but the girl does. Or like, if, a big thing that I hear, like, if he hasn't responded now, he never will. And it's been like 2 weeks. But my recommendation is to like not block them, because I've had guys come back after 4 to 6 months and fail.
Oh,
yeah. And you have to be friends most of the time, right? Or else you get filtered into a different inbox or whatever, unless it would be very rare or very random for somebody to get a text message from you, a personal text message, like, how'd you get my number? I mean, do you have to go that route? Or is it always through like a social media platform?
No, I do. I do text and like LinkedIn or WhatsApp. I don't, if I were to choose out of those, it'd be text, because there's different ways to go about it. I don't want to give my secrets, but
I'm
there's
glad
definitely
you said
ways.
LinkedIn. So many people would never think that LinkedIn would be an outlet. I have caught our ex-husband with so many inappropriate emails back in the day, years ago, obviously, when we were together, through LinkedIn. So,
I didn't know that.
Yes. And so somebody once before was like, no, I'm like, oh yeah.
Like, trust me. Mm-hmm. Yep.
They'll
use anything they can. And like, even a comment that I saw, and I've thought about this before, but guys, like, I play words with friends, like when I need to like wake up in the morning, like use my brain, like things like that. And like, I will not play with anyone that I can see as a dude. If it's like a generic one, sure. Or if it's like, I have my usual like 10 girls in England that I play with. And like, I don't know them, but yeah, it is super random. But like, I saw a comment the other day that that said, on one of my videos, and said, guys are now using words with friends to cheat. And it's like anywhere they can chat, they can chat, they're like,
that someone wouldn't be suspicious of.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just playing words with friends. It's like, you don't think you're like, you know, playing like a
if there's
tile
a chat
square
feature on it, they'll use it. Yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't matter what
so
it
sad.
is.
Anyone would.
When I worked for this really big, huge spa gym in a very well-off area, it's connected to Microsoft. When I would have men and women come in, mostly from sales, the stories they would tell me about, or actually anywhere within Microsoft, all the affairs they were having, didn't matter if they were both male and female. The trips, I was probably in my, early 20s, and I thought, oh my gosh, like it kind of ruined it for me, to where I was just like, I didn't become like super jealous or crazy, but I'm a very logical thinker. And in my mind, I'm like, my odds are not good.
Yeah.
And I was obviously spot on, because I mean, they're the ones who are like the unicorns that we have to find, the diamond in the rough.
Yeah. So true.
Okay. You talk about talking to women, getting to know them. I mean, it's sensitive material. So you obviously form a little bit of a bond, I'm sure a little bit, with a lot of them. So when you give them the evidence and then later you find out, or the reaction leads you to think that they're still going to stay, do you offer advice? I mean, does anybody ever come back to you? Do you ever follow up with people? And is it hard for you to hear people that you're like, I just told her all this and she's not going to leave him?
Yeah. I remember once in the beginning of doing this, I had too much on my plate. And so Danny actually took over a conversation with a girl and knew exactly what was going on. And I was like, why are you still talking to her? And he's like, because like, she's just, I'm like, you're wasting your time. She's not going to leave. And that was a really hard pill for me to swallow in the beginning. Not so much now, but, and I'll tell the girls too, because I'm like, hey, you have what you need. He's lying to you. He's gaslighting you. I'm on your side. I don't judge you. You're not ready to leave, and that's okay.
Yeah, that's what you have to do. I 100% agree, because
I'm not going to sit there and try and convince her.
What we say. Yeah.
But it's frustrating at times. Sometimes it's sad. Sometimes it's frustrating. Sometimes it's both. And also just like part of the territory. I'm just kind of like, okay, that's where you're at. That's where you're at.
Right? They have to be ready to accept the information in their own minds. And, you know, we ended up staying each 5+ years with our ex, because it just took us that long before we finally were like, okay, I'm tapped out on this. But that person, they haven't.
We're not going to judge you. We're not going to.
They weren't. Yeah, there were so many variety of reasons of why they stay. It could be children. It could be just insecurity, or, you know, codependency. There's so many different ways. But is there any like common thread amongst most of the women that reached out to you? Like with, is it mostly, I don't even know. Is there something that just stands out that like most of the women have this in common, or most of the women ask this question? What would that be?
The commonalities are that they've done something in the past. They're secretive with their phone. They have Snapchat. They tell them that they're insecure when they have a problem. And they're usually following risque women online. And they get angry anytime they want to talk about something. So, and then it's always followed up with, I think I'm just being paranoid, or I think it's just my past trauma, or maybe I am being insecure. Always. There's always a combination of those things every single time.
Yeah, the whole men being, I don't even, it's not really gaslighting, but kind of, you know, but they'll just go, you're crazy. You're crazy. You're so jealous and insecure. And you know that you're not, because you're seeing these red flags, which is why we're programmed to start with, maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm just being insecure. Maybe it's, you know, this, that, and the other thing.
But it is gaslighting, but there's so many.
Question yourself.
Yeah, and there's so many avenues and subtle ways and like nuanced ways to gaslight someone. So it's like a term that's more common that people know, and they kind of have like a linear description with it. But there are things that people are like, oh, I didn't realize that was gaslighting. And it is. And I have a video actually about the 3 different kinds of gaslighters there are. And that really helps put in perspective, because you have like the girl that's like, I'm being gaslit. And then she's like, he's like, you see a nude photo. He's like, I don't know who that is, but like, that's just like super blatant and like aggressive. But then you have the guys that like don't talk to you for a couple days and then show up and are like, baby, I would never do anything to hurt you. And like, that's gaslighting too. I mean, it's also manipulative and blah, blah, blah. So I do have a video that actually goes over the 3 different kinds of gaslighters, because it's like a well-known term now, but there's just so many little subtleties to it that people don't know that that's actually under the umbrella of gaslighting.
Absolutely.
I actually like that you are doing those kind of videos now, because prior it was just loyalty tests, and now it's kind of like educational components. So what are we learning from all these loyalty tests? What are some of those tidbits of information that we can kind of implement in our own lives? So I like that.
Yeah.
Well, one thing that I just recently did was I have a link on my website under free resources, and it's I named it the Is My Relationship Fucked Up checklist. And so you can put in your email, you'll have it'll have a link to download it, and it goes over communication, like what are the signs within the communication, what are the signs with his interpersonal relationships, like all those things that you think might be normal in a relationship. Like, his friends don't really like me, like that's not normal, shit like that. That's just more like nuanced, and that's more like honing in on more specifics that people don't realize or like think that they're crazy for, but then they get to go through that and are like, they feel validated, because people don't talk about that kind of stuff, or it's just, or they do, but it's like people don't usually want to tune into a video about that.
Let's talk more about some of the goodwill you've done on your channel to raise money for abused women.
Yeah. So I have done 2 now, and the first one was about a year ago, and then now this one, and it's been a very beautiful and humbling thing to see that the way that like these women will come together for someone else, and and then I always have people who hit me up after that, who need help. And I feel bad because I'm like, I can't really help you, because it's a lot of work for me. It's a lot of building a relationship and building trust, lots of phone calls, lots of sorting through documents and contracts and text messages, and it's a lot. So it's like a full investigative thing that I do before I decide that I'm okay to put that out there, because like my reputation is on the line. And so with that being said, the people that we have done that for, it was a long process, and
what exactly really, have you done?
Just raise money.
Oh, so it's like a video that you put out on social media to help people come together to raise money for a woman in need.
Yeah, I think she was maybe like in an abusive situation and needed to leave the relationship.
Yeah,
so
they're always in an abusive situation.
Component. Yeah.
Oh, totally. And I can't really talk about that a lot on TikTok. So I can't really get into the DV stuff, but there's definitely that component there. And it's typically like it's the 2 times, it's never been for women who are like not trying to fight their way out of it. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So it's always like women who like this last one, she didn't ask me. We were just like, we should do this, because like we had spent like months talking to her, and she was like working hard and trying to do it like under the heel of someone else who was like scrutinizing her every move. And
Yeah.
what is that
So
one movie?
You recognized the situation. And you just were like, I'm going to help you. Oh, are you thinking about the Jennifer Lopez movie where she escapes?
No. Oh, no,
No.
that's enough. That's enough.
Enough. I love that.
And I never actually, I don't think I saw it, but it's a Natalie Portman movie. And it's like where there's like a weird thing with her around the number 5. Like, so anytime she like got change back and it said like 0.55, she like knew something really bad was about to happen. Like it's actually really great writing, but she starts doing these little odd jobs without her husband knowing because he's so incredibly abusive. And then he finds her stack of cash. So it's like an older movie. So it was cash. And then he flips out and it was like, what are you doing? Blah, blah. And she's like, I did it for the baby. And he's like, oh, you know what I mean? Like, so women who are like actively having to like try and protect themselves and their children, and still like doing whatever they can to figure things out behind closed doors, while also like maintaining emotional and physical safety for themselves and their kids. Like those are the people that I'm like,
yes,
let's go.
I love that. That is so
I think
badass.
we should like team up and do another one this year with you. Like maybe we can get our joint fans to rally for someone. Obviously, you know, we don't know who that will be or when that will be, but we will definitely be on board if you ever want to do another one.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. And we've got someone that we're working with a little bit right now that we were talking about that potentially.
What are some of the most common ways? I know you've kind of talked about Snapchat. I was kind of looking a little bit like, is it, you know, we obviously talked about the words with friends. I actually saw someone talk about Google Docs as a new way because you can edit in real time. So you have a joint shared Google Doc that you can email each other, and then it updates in real time. So you can both be in there at the same time on this Google Doc typing back and forth, and no one would ever catch you. So I'm like, whoa, that's a good one. But is there any other one that you can think of that people might not know about?
Yeah, we had one that was done through notes, like a grocery list kind of type situation. And we have been wanting to
on your
put that.
phone. We share notes, Amber and I.
That's right. I didn't even think about that.
We've been wanting to put that out, but we just haven't. But yeah, so it's just, you know, the typical signs are secrecy with the phones. I always find it wild when people have been married for 10 years or even less than that, and don't know their partner's passcode, or they won't put that they're in a relationship with them on Facebook, like things like that. Like, I'm a private person. Like, no, you're not. You just want to show your private. Like, it's really, that's what it is. Yeah. It's so but it's like, it's hard to tell girls that sometimes. I'm like, but I do, you know? And so I'll just say like, hey girl, like one thing you can always count on me for is that I'll be honest with you and support you and won't judge you, but he's full of shit. That's not why, like, sorry. It has nothing to do with your self-worth. It has everything to do with him. And him lacking morality, integrity, and just being a complete piece of shit. But the secrecy with the phones, huge one. Snapchat, like, why the fuck do you need Snapchat? You know, and I get it. Like, some people communicate with like their teenagers through that. Like, I understand that kind of a situation. But if you're like a fucking grown-ass man, like, you know, you're not snapping your friends.
Yeah. My husband calls it snatch chat.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
He's like, okay, snatch chat. No.
Yeah.
Like, I think I have it on there, but it's just so like my 5-year-old and I can look at the creepy filters on our faces, and that's pretty much it. But you're right. Like, we're too old to be doing a bunch of stuff on there.
Yeah, they have great filters and fun filters, and I'll do the same, you know, with my kids, but it's also like, but it's a dude that's like sitting there next to her and she sees like 7 Snapchat notifications come down and he's like, it's no one, you know, like, come on, bro.
Right.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. And there's like all the, like the hidden texting apps, the vanishing messages.
Oh my God.
I've never done that before. That vanishing secret cloud folders, WhatsApp. I didn't even know what WhatsApp was. I never used that. I had no idea that was
really. I think it's a lot for international messaging too.
Yeah. The only time I've ever used that is like when I was out of the country doing photo shoots and had to like communicate with people that were there for like, you know, photography and whatever. And they're from like a different country. And that's the only time. And that's, you know, but other than that.
Yep. Creating new email addresses. I would say too on that one, like It just reminded me of when our ex created a fake email for Athena and her husband.
Oh yeah.
For her husband, though, it wasn't like his name. It was like Mr. Big C.
Big D.
Big D.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I would say if it's like I would be a telltale giveaway if someone's email address was like not their name or some variation of their name. If it's Mr. Big D, whatever, like,
oh yeah,
very much a fake email
yeah,
or whatever.
Yeah,
I
size
think the
extra
hard part
large.
too now, right, is like, how do you know if someone's using like a Google Voice number or something? Like they're texting you. Is there any way to even know whether someone's given their real phone number to you? Or because that's kind of interesting, like with all these like apps.
I mean, I guess I don't have like any concrete, specific thing to tell you, but I mean, like, you can tell by like, I think you can actually Google it because it's a Google number, but also like it'll show up. And I have a few burner phones, and like some of them are Android, some of them are iPhones. And so it's like you have the green texting with it, but also like the connection is very different if you have a phone call. Even if you call and they don't answer, it will typically tell you it's a Google number. So, but I don't necessarily deal with that personally a lot.
So curious if either of you know, because I don't. I know we have a Google phone number, Amber, for our work, but is the number like really different from what your local number should look like? I mean,
well, ours has an Oregon area code, but you know what's interesting is I think when me and Madeline first talked, I used that one, and it'll ring on my phone, but it doesn't say it's from the Google Voice. So I go to pick it up. I'm like, hello. And it'll be like, you're receiving a message from Madeline on your Google Voice number. I'm like, oh,
you're like,
okay.
Shit, hang up.
And then I have to click a number, like click 1 to accept it or whatever. I was like, oh shit, this is like a jail call or something.
Yeah.
It's weird.
You're like, Brandon's calling me.
Yeah.
Any new things, big things on the horizon for you? TV shows, podcasts. You're obviously hilarious, easy to look at, all of the above. Anything going on? Anything in the near future?
So we are filming our proof of concept with a major television network in a week and a half. And then after that, then it'll have to go through the network and legal and everything. And it'll still probably be like another 6 months before anything airs. Yeah. Or if not more. And so we have that going on. We have a few episodes of a podcast that we recently started. And so it'll be probably a couple months before we launch that. But we've got things in the works, but as you guys know, everything takes a lot more time, a lot more work, especially when you have kids.
Yeah, especially when working with the networks,
and then like moving and having to get like a new setup. And with the podcast, it's called the No More Bullshit podcast, and so it's kind of. I even have a couple male guests, and so we are talking about like just anything from. It's like more of a natural flowing thing, but just like the situations in which you've been where you realize like, this is fucking bullshit. I need out. And this is not normal. Kind of exposing those behaviors and, what that felt like in other people who might be in the same situation, things like that. As far as the TV show goes, I can't really say anything at this point, but it will be, essentially about catching
in that realm.
Household cheaters. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I'm very much in line with, right? Like what you do on TikTok, probably something similar.
Oh my gosh.
Those lines.
I can't wait.
Yeah. I mean, similar. It's we're filming the proof of concept. So it's, it has some creative energy that we are still putting into it and figuring out what exactly fits and how. So,
I love that. Are you still doing your self tanner? I think you do makeup too, right?
Yeah. So I have a makeup line, and everything that I'm wearing right now is my brand. So
you're busy.
That's been a lot of fun. Yeah. I wish I had more time to promote that, but it does well when we're putting out videos because people are like, what kind of eyelashes are they? I'm like, they're mine, or what, lip gloss.
Smart.
Things like
So
that.
smart.
Yeah. But also like, but I don't get time to like talk about like the full coverage foundation is like so amazing because it's like lightweight and you can layer it and it's like porcelain and, because people are like, what, your skin looks so good. I'm like, it's just the foundation, you know what I mean? And it's like not heavy and just shit like that. Like that. I wish I had more time to like talk about the specifics of like why it's great because
I'm like, wait a minute. So what about for dry skin? Aging dry skin.
Yeah, I have, the full coverage foundation is really good for that. I don't have like, I'm trying to keep things simple right now with like not having like a powder foundation or, like different things. I just have like the one because I know that works well on all skin types. Yeah. And it's just like, it's great. And then like, I'm sure you guys know from filming and stuff, like your hands will look red and your like the inside of my nose will look red. Like people are like, do you always try to make it look like you have a cold? And I'm like, okay, yeah, that's exactly it. I love looking like Rudolph, you asshole.
Like I do. But, so mine always is red.
No, but I also like
sniffing.
Yeah. But like just like, how like the, I know, right? I'm like, I don't do colors. But the way that the lights, like, especially when I film, they're really close. And so sometimes it like makes my ears or like my nostrils. And so like, I'll use the foundation on that or whatever. And I'm very much like, I don't actually wear makeup that often. So one thing that I really like is that like, when I have a product, I'll use it wherever I can. Like I don't want like 20 fucking different things. Like I'll use the brow pomade like as eyeliner or like the highlighter like on my lips and on my eyes and like, you know what I mean? Like I'll just use it wherever I can because it's like, I don't want 20 different fucking products. Like I just want it simple. And so bam.
Simple is good. Smart.
Yeah. So it's themadelinebrand.com/LT home. And that'll give you a link for cosmetics and podcasts and, a loyalty test or relationship coaching and all of it. So
I have a feeling our listeners are going to want a loyalty test.
They're going to blow you up.
Yeah. So,
well, I'm here to help.
Get ready for a lot of traffic.
Need some more servers. Your database.
Database
will explode.
One more question. Do you have other, you're only one person. Do you have other women in your crew that can help? Like little contract employees that can message some of these.
I feel like you have to at this point.
So I have a couple girls that'll hit up just like on a needed basis. And then I actually have one full-time employee.
Nice.
So, smart.
Yeah. Because this is probably never going to go out of style. This is definitely a career plan you probably never thought you'd get into, but it is one based in longevity because forever since the beginning of existence, men have cheated. Yes. As long as they have wieners, they will be cheating. Yeah. So
I know. It's like, come on, let's be a little bit more involved here. Like, and one thing that I had a consultation yesterday and she was like, well, while he was out, like, fucking whoever, I was doing the internal work. So, and it's so true. It's like, as women, we're out there trying to better ourselves, figure out like what our patterns are. And they're just out there bed hopping and doing whatever. And it's like, no wonder, women don't want to date men anymore.
I know.
So,
yeah. True.
Yeah.
There you go.
Can't get enough of Ex-Wives Undercover? If so, make sure to subscribe to our show so that you don't miss any of our exclusive subscriber-only podcast episodes. You can also follow us on Instagram and TikTok, as well as join our true crime community on our private Facebook page. And for those who rather watch the episodes, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. For more information, simply click the link found in each episode's show notes.